Hi everyone, and welcome to InfoSec Ally. So in the previous video, we were talking about some of the fundamental things that can really help you in going into cybersecurity. So today I'll be sharing 3 things I really wish I knew before getting into cybersecurity. This is my own personal opinion before entering cybersecurity on top of all the fundamentals that I mentioned before. So let's begin. So one thing that I really like to encourage for most of us who are deciding to enter cybersecurity and are a little bit doubtful or hesitant because the challenge of trying to know everything about cybersecurity seems very daunting and a difficult subject to get into. I just want to let you know and assure you that you don't need to know everything. I think laying the groundwork, knowing how to spot things that seem unusual counts for a lot of what you do with cybersecurity. And I think for me personally, there are a lot of knowledge base that may seem very intimidating. You got your RSA, you got your networks, you got all your solutions, your AV. It just seems so overwhelming, right? Your threats and all, and how to solve them. And all this just seems like, wow, there's so many things I need to deal with and so many things I need to remember. But as a cybersecurity personnel, and something that I've noticed while working as an information analysis, you don't need to know everything, right? Most of the time, I probably get 40% the way there. That usually handles most of the cases that I deal with, but there are always a good chunk of information that I still have to Google, I still have to search for it, I still have to figure out and talk to experts, specialists about how to handle certain threat and certain situations. So if you're afraid of having to know everything before you need to jump into the industry, let me encourage you that that's not the case. I think one of the more important skills about this is that you need to know how to find the information that you need. That is actually far more critical, I feel. There's a lot of resources out there, and being able to look for what you really need to handle whatever security issue that you're facing is a essential skill. It's not just the technicals, but knowing how to handle and knowing how to look for solutions is far more critical. The next thing that really I wish I knew before jumping into cybersecurity is the importance of network. So for networking, it's very much about knowing how information moves around your environment. Sometimes within your own environment, how it jumps and moves around. And more importantly, how information moves out of your organization. Why I find this is really important is that I think even now, as I've been in this industry for so long, it's so easy to get messed up with networking, but it's so critical knowing how a certain information travel from one device to another, what are the certain blocks and certain measures to block all threats is so much more important. And especially for an information analysis, being able to understand how packets of information move from one environment to another and how to protect it is critical, because in most cases, when information is moving internally, it's usually okay. But understanding how information travels from one IP address to another IP address, and knowing how to look for the IP address, how to identify which where it came from. It's so much important, especially when you're investigating a security incident, right? And that is really what you should really be focusing on. If, let's say, we are talking about our previous video about the fundamentals, I think a good chunk of your studies should really be understanding networking and how to protect it and how it flows within your certain organization. Yeah. And the last thing I wish I really knew before entering my current job, right, as an information analyst, is knowing the different paths that you have for cybersecurity. So when we're talking about cybersecurity, it's actually built up of many different components, many different careers, and many different job roles. You have people who do threat research, or maybe the people that deals with infrastructure, security infrastructure. Or it could be developers who, create the scripts, create the infrastructure needed to do the detections of threats that are inside the environment. But not only that, sometimes you might land up in cybersecurity where you have to do sales. Your job is to understand the technicals as far as you need to know to implement solutions, IT solutions, security solutions into a customer's environment. Maybe you might be invited to do upper management. So as you continue to do consultations or management roles, you realize that you will be less technical, and you realize that most of your job will start to be revolving about how you handle resources of different people, different skills. And even though it's not exactly cybersecurity, it's still under the umbrella. And as you enter a cybersecurity career, you sooner or later, after years of working in that company, these questions will pop up, and it's good to know roughly where you want to go to. Maybe you might want to invest in technical skills to go more technical in your path. Or say maybe you can move into management. Right? And each has its own benefits and pros and cons. And of course, it has its own salary compensations. In most cases, managements tend to get a bit more salary. So that's something you can consider down the line. So these are the things that I really, really wish that I knew before I entered cybersecurity. And as we continue building more cybersecurity videos here in this channel, I just want to invite you all to just place down questions that you have about cybersecurity, and I hope that I'll be able to answer them for you and share my experiences working as an information analyst. And till the next video, bye!